Hello and welcome to Warblog. Today we're looking at the capture of al-Hazm, the Yemen civil war. It's quite interesting. I've sort of thrown it together, but al-Hazm is quite a sort of important place. I sort of thrown it together. I haven't really sort of put as much. I haven't really sort of thought twice about it. So it could be that I think that there are other things that maybe should be included. I've tried to keep it fairly straightforward. So there's no air power on either side, but they might have had some. But what I have done, I've put these missiles in. I'm not sure how missiles work. I thought that they had to have a certain limit to them. That's how I seem to remember them being set up. But I've tried it, and it just seems to sort of work just like artillery, really. So maybe I'll have to review exactly how they work. But I sort of wanted to put them in because I think they're using them. There's no actual direct evidence that they're using them, but also the fact that I wanted to put missiles in because in the Saqib and al-Nayrab Syrian scenarios, they're using drones and ballistic missiles. I've made some Turkish drones, and I sort of got towards making some Turkish missiles, but I haven't actually got any further than that. So this is like my compromise, really. I sort of like trying to figure out how these missiles will work. I don't want to just have loads of them, but the thing is, as you can see, it's sort of sat over here with 20 range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They should be able to hit most things. And to be quite honest, I'm not delaying anything really. It's just I'm just so sort of like, well, I guess overworked really, or just just not even overworked. If that was the case, it would be so bad. It's just sort of, I don't know, just snowed under by circumstances. Nothing particularly sort of onerous, but it's just, you can see that by the backlog that I've got. But the point I'm trying to get to here is that I want to introduce off-table indirect fire, and that will include artillery and missiles. So, because I think that the ballistic missiles should really be just off-table, and they can land anywhere, because these things have like 100-mile radius, so there's no point in having them on the table, and they can get hit, whereas if they're off-table, they can't get hit. There's so much that I want to do with this game, to facilitate those sorts of elements, like being able to attack air bases off the map, have more interesting air war capability, off map airstrikes, aircraft coming in off map, but being able to do things like the 6-Day War, and all these sort of these air things. I mean, going back to what I'm trying to achieve, and I'm just sort of half thinking, I hope I don't forget this, but unless I was hearing things, Turkish aircraft fought Syrian aircraft and shot down 2. That is like historic, and I haven't done that scenario yet, and in the back of my mind I don't quite know how I'm going to do it, but so I've got to go back to the Turkish scenario, and they've got this thing. I don't know why I'm talking about the Turkish one, because I'm not doing it, but this, I think here, the counterattack across Algab Plains is actually part of, and I haven't done it, it's part of Operation Spring Shield. So really I should have an Operation Spring Shield, but the Turks appear to have stopped their sort of their offensive. So I'll have an Operation Spring Shield, and in that the Turks will engage in air-to-air combat with the Syrians, which is, is just sort of like mind-blowing. In, you know, as a historic precedent, they will have their drones attacking. So they've got Turkish drones and ballistic missiles, but I haven't got there yet. So that might be included in this one and this one, because they're both sort of part of the same thing. This is the Syrian counterattack on Saraquib. This is the Turkish Operation Spring Shield, or whatever it is. So anyway, let's just get back onto this, because I just want to play this. It's very rough. I like the map. I think it has a lot of scope, but I've no idea how it will pan out. I'm not entirely sure that there's really a lot of you know, there's a lot to it, in the sense that, I mean, let's just get my favourite part of the whole thing out, my drawing tool. I love the drawing tool. Let's just sort of, you know, for example, the Saudi-backed forces, you know, that's it. They got these two defensive lines there. That's all there is there. I'm pretty sure we should be able to push them back. Obviously, that's a sort of little thing there, and that's a little thing there. When I say little thing, I don't want to sound too vague. A situation. So maybe this line's not too indefensible, but when you think about what's here, you got this one unit, and this enormous pile of units here. We could just, you know, there's really not a lot to stop these things from coming through. So here, maybe the line's a little more, you know, it's a little dense. So this is what I'm saying, you see, because when I put it together, I didn't sort of look and think, oh, I haven't filled this gap in. I didn't look at it twice. So, you know, I could spot something and I think, oh no, that's just stupid. I've left this huge gap here. You know, but for example, it's quite nice and dense there. You can sort of say, but the thing is, what I do also want to avoid is having things that are so sort of, you know, like a continual line, because to be quite honest, that there are far more irregular than that. Even the Saudi forces, you know, this is not like, you know, trench warfare. There's not a continual line there. So that's quite dense. I mean, this is probably more dense than it should be. And like I say, it's all been sort of thrown together. So, you know, there's not a lot defending there. You know, it seems as though there's overwhelming numbers, but I think once we get into it, these sorts of, the situation will sort of clear up. Now, basically, I was going to, basically the front line, you know, as you can probably see, is like that. And it ends up being basically like that. Maybe a bit more over than this side, but they take al-Hazm. And so you can come from this side, or this side, obviously. Now, the thing that I was just trying to get to there was what I haven't done. I haven't put all these villages in as objectives. I tend to do that, but I think it sort of bogs things down a little, because they're still defensive points. I mean, there's a fantastic scope for lots of Saudi-backed defense. I mean, if you look at that, village, there's a line of villages. This whole thing here is just one big defensive line. You know, it's even got 2 hexes. You know, that is just defensive. And there's one there, there's one there. I don't always want to put in all the villages, but it's quite clearly sort of quite built up. So here, along this road, it's going to be quite difficult, but there's not really much along this road, and there's not much down here, but there's not much coming out of these mountains either. But there is a force just there. If we get back onto that there, because essentially the Houthis have this sort of mobile force. There's another mobile force somewhere down here. Maybe that's it. And then another one over here. There are some others. I think you just sort of got to find them, but I'd sort of tried to put, for example, there. So this one is sort of more split up into 2. You know, so instead of being in one stack, it's in 2, whereas this is all in one stack. And then we've got these other ones sort of over here. They're the ones that I think will have the most dynamic scope for outflanking or, making good on a break, so to speak. For example, maybe just pouring straight through here and taking out this artillery unit. So I think it's going to be quite interesting, actually. Obviously the missiles, the ballistic missiles, I'm sort of thinking, well, there's only one of them, you see. When there's only one, there's not much scope for doing a lot of damage. But we'll see what we can do with them. I mean, they've got a couple of things that, well, obviously they're worth 11, so we'll see how that works out. But also, they can hit anywhere on the map, mostly. So we can hit most things. But I'm not sure that they're really going to be that significant because there's just not enough of them. Maybe I'll have to have 2 batteries, but they always seem to be sort of, like magic cards. I was going to say like the Joker or an ace, or but one card is not going to blow up every single counter. I've often wondered, if I have a nuclear warhead, what would I do if you landed it there? Would everything die? And then sort of slow sort of radiuses like that. These ballistic missiles, they're clever because they can pinpoint a particular location. There's nothing actually in here. Al-Hazm should have some air units, could just paratrop them in. But the thing is, they can pinpoint, say, this, but they can't do a lot of damage. They can destroy one thing there. I mean, they're sort of got accuracies of 1 meter or something like that, which is fair enough, and they've got fairly large payloads in general, but that's not much when you consider that a lot of these units are distributed in particular locations. I'm not saying that they all are, but I was looking at a video a while back, and it was quite clear that the vehicles had probably about a minute's distance between them. They weren't travelling in convoy one after the other. There was probably 20 vehicles distance between them. If you blow one of those vehicles up, you're not getting the whole convoy. So no matter how, anywhere that they have the accuracy, but they can't blow a lot up unless they can get the densities. If you were to fire these things like Grad missiles, 20 all at one place, then so they probably have their particular purpose. And in this game, I'm sort of not sure that they're really anything other than a wild card, so to speak. They're not going to swing the balance, I don't think. But anyway, so let's just do something. Now, I don't want to go too far into this, so I'm just going to sort of do things really, but we've sort of highlighted these areas. I'm not so sure what there is over here. Now, obviously, we've got multiple fronts to work from, so I'm sort of thinking, well, we should be able to do something with these vehicles. So we can, but the thing is, there's a big stack in there, so we can't just pounce through here. One thing I haven't done is any engineering works. There's no earthworks and there's no engineers on the board. I did that deliberately as well, mainly because I'm in a hurry, but I just wanted to do it quickly. But I also thought I don't want to make it too complex either, because I think that the earthworks are something that is more apparent in the Syrian war. I haven't seen too much of it in the Yemen civil war. That means, the only feats of engineering I've seen them achieve in any substance is their sort of dry stone walling hilltop with gun emplacements, which, they're not feats of engineering. I'm not sure I've mentioned this before, but I often sort of think of it, surely they should have like helicopters carrying around big tubs of ready mix. Ready mix is like, ready mixed concrete. And they could, these Saudi-backed militias or whoever they are, the Hadi forces, they could go up there with, these sorts of things that you fold out, like the metal things, so that they could basically put together precast concrete, or not precast concrete, but they've got all the rocks up there, so all they need to do is put a framework together, and they can have a helicopter, a heavy lift helicopter with some ready mix, and they could build pillboxes and all sorts of things. I don't know whether they'd do that. They have, even if they just bring in precast things. I know that they even use sewerage pipes, these big sort of like 5 feet precast concrete sewer pipes. Put one of those up on its end, and you've got the basis of a reasonably strong position, and I'm sure you could adapt them so that there's an entrance and some spy holes. They're not going to resist too much with these RPGs, but you could make them a bit thicker, and I'm just saying that they could be doing a lot more in the engineering side, but I haven't put any engineers because I don't see any evidence of that immediately to hand. I might be wrong, and also wanting to do it quickly. But anyway, so I'm not sure there's an easy win on this because of that big stack there. Obviously we've got some rockets and things, but we've got 3 down there. But the thing is, we could sort of take this village. Let's get the whatnot out. For example, we could move straight into there without troops. And maybe try and push, because what I want to do is get as far in as possible, but this is all challenging area. It is starting to look a little more intriguing, really, because we can sort of, if we could punch this guy out, force him to retreat. You see, what we need to do is to get him to retreat there, which means we'd have to have a zone of control there, because if he retreats there, he's still got his zone of control, which means that's a zone of control, that's a zone of control, which means we can't just scoop through. So what we're trying to do really is look for an opportunity. That would be nice, but these are actually on the green side, so we can't just punch him out and then come in through here. This might be an opportunity, but again, he'd probably fall back to there or there, and neither of these would allow us the sort of run through. We don't have anything, even if he went there, we've still got a zone of control. So, there isn't really any sort of clear breakthrough opportunity. Here we're sort of stuck there, we're stuck there. We tend to maybe break through there, but again, it's all zones of control. So I don't know really. Let's try something a little different, and let's see whether yellow works. Rockets. I'm trying to identify all the rockets. 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 There might be a few more rockets. Rockets. But they only have 2 range, but they can move and fire. So we can sort of move 1 and fire. So we can move him into there, and then fire on this stack or this stack. What would be quite nice would be getting a foothold in one of these towns, if we can, at the very least. We might actually be able to just walk, because we're irregulars, go through the zone of control and at least get both of these. But here, we can probably move there and then fire on no one, so they're not much. so much they can do. We can probably move into there and then fire on that stack. Move here and then fire on this stack. I'm going to leave him there, but I'm going to fire on that. So we've got enough. We've got a few rockets, but you know we can't really sort of fire on much really. It's complex, isn't it? Because obviously I've got the wild card here. See, I want to maybe break through on something. Well, one thing I can definitely do is get into there and attack that artillery position. The thing we're going to focus on, because I might not play for long, is this section here, and in particular this section here, pushing him into there, him into there, going for this artillery position, and then trying to create a dominant insertion there, and then with these, follow these around and through, with whatever I can to take out this unit. So I'm going to reload that and make it a little clearer. What I'm saying is they're going to go there, they're going to go there, and then we're going to attack that. And then these units are then going to go here and here and here and attack that. Everything else is going to support where I feel fit. So we've got some of these guys, so they're going to obviously do something. We're going to fire with the rockets whatever we can. We've got two lots of rockets there, and I'm going to, in order to support that, I'm going to use my ballistic missile on that stack there. Bear in mind, most of these are just ones. So let's actually do something. Let's see what these missiles do. Interesting, because it hasn't gone to the missile screen. .5, 1.8. Okay. Well, so there's two units in there relatively hit now, but I do want to move the rockets forward a bit, just to keep their momentum in place. Now that they've moved forward, I can fire them. Oh, that rocket did more than the missile. Okay, so we've really fired on that. I wonder how far we can move, because we might not be able to actually move to. Let's see how far we can move there. That cost. Okay, so we might be able to do 2. Yes, but will he be able to do 2? No, because there's exactly 1.5. Well, I wanted to attack this artillery position, and that's what I'm going to do. 7-1. That's right. That's right. Because their artillery on their own, they were only at 20% of their defence, so they were at 0.2. That was good. But I didn't destroy it, as you might imagine you would. Okay. .2, 6.2. What I'm thinking is, I don't want to leave my rockets undefended. I should be able to move this guy there and there. So we got I'd like to, I don't really actually want to, I'm not sure how far forward you can go. Let's face it, he's not really going to be able to do much if he doesn't move forward. What I'm thinking is just attacking with these units, and then with these highly mobile units, pushing them further forward to break into there. That should work, but I'm going to push him onto there first. Eliminated one of them. Okay, so now this guy can, in theory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see how far forward he can get. Oh, it eliminated him. Let's just have a little recap on how much progress we've made, because of all the places, this is where it's been quite easy, I think. We have now pushed through like that, with the potential of you know, I mean, exploiting basically quite heavily. So let's see what we can do. Got 2 units there and 1 there, so we've got 3 mobile units. So what do I want to do with those mobile units? Oh, he's dead. Because obviously breaking through is one thing, holding that ground or making anything good of it is another. But then what would that mean? You know, I mean, if we were to break all the way through here, would it mean that all these other forces would just have to fall back? Or would it mean that they would pinch her in and isolate anything in here? My brain doesn't think that far ahead. What I'm going to try and do is come along here I know that I can get to there, but I'd like to be on this track, because I think if I can stay on this track I might be able to get there, although I think it's maybe a bit too far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See if I go. Let's just see. Oh no, I can't get there. But what else do I want to do? Do I want to engage in an attack on some of these units? I think what I want to do is I want to push all these units into here. Because it gives me the potential to just sort of do things that I can't even contemplate at this moment. But with them there, you know, they could go this way, you know, I can even go for al-Hazm, you know, I could come back this way, you know, I mean, that has got to be a good place to be. So what else? This is still quite tough, but that unit could be destroyed. We could cause, look at that, there's 5 of them there. I don't know why there's 5. We could do some damage on these units. So I should have maybe looked at that before, but they're really small units. But we've got 2, 3. That's a weak spot. If I can break that, let's fire some rockets on it. Point 3. Is that hills? You see, what I was looking for earlier was some kind of break. And look, there's one there that I hadn't noticed. So what have we got here? A bit of a stack. Do I want to attack that? He's in hills and dug in. You see, everything else is a bit tough. They're doubled. He's on his own. He's on his own. That could be worth pushing. Let's move him there. And use one of those whizzy things. Let's use 2 of them, why not? We want to leave him there to protect the rockets. We can attack there, look. Because we pushed him back. We can attack here as well. Let's see if we can hit them. Can. See, that's the thing with these infantry, what is it, non-mobile irregulars, that they can't do the great things that these units can, the mobile ones. But I think I'm going to push these both forward. Two to one on the exchange. I knew it was a bit risky, but well, let's just use this as a mobile attack force. It should be like 4 to 1. I haven't got any surround bonuses, but we got them. Oh no, 1 to 1. Why were they defending on? Wow, what were they defending on? They had 12, and they only had 3 units. So they must have been multiplied by 4. Oh, they were in hills, weren't they? Look at that, I didn't see that. They were in hills, dug in, entrenched. So they were doubled for the hills and doubled for that. So we're really lucky to do that, but don't have any more movement. This is a shame. But we could, because of the situation, I guess, no rockets in range, we could try this. I'm going to just do it. I don't see any point in leaving them next to this stack and not trying. DE. Better odds against those. I was going to go against these again, but I think it's safer to double up against one and exchange. I'm going to leave those sort of static. Maybe I could push them against that. But he's entrenched and he's in hills. It's difficult terrain. I'm going to leave it there. Here, it's difficult to know what to do there. Down here, it's a bit static there. I haven't really made the progress I wanted here. Got 3 units in there. .9, 1.60. Can I go for it? Okay. Leave the other one protecting the rockets. I should be able to walk over this. Yeah, it felt like a 7-1, but only a DR. That's interesting actually. I can't calculate 5.8 times whatever 7, but 6 sevens. 6. Why can't I calculate 6 sevens? 14, 28, 42, 49. That was just 7-1. That wasn't like way over, because 6 sevens are 49. That's right, isn't it? So 2 sevens are 14. 14, 28, 42. 42 plus 7 is 49. So that 0.2 made all the difference, even though I got the crappiest dice roll ever. We at least pushed them out with scope for continuing that attack. How much of rate movement have they got? Might be able to push them back. Do we really want to focus everything on that? Might be worth pushing these guys into there and trying that, and hoping that these guys can push that just that little bit more. Yep, so we managed to push them out, and we should be able to do something here. eliminated one of them. Okay. I don't want to do any attacks there. I don't really want to do anything here. He can go against, I might as well fire against that at the very least. 1.8. Tempting. I don't want to do it though. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave all that. Don't want to be attacking that. But what I'm going to do is move there, and that might affect his zone of control. I'll leave that. I'm also going to leave that. "46 minutes to do all that." Right, I'm not going to do much more thinking. I'm going to the next turn. I'm not going to do the next turn, but I'm going to just do a quick map. I enjoyed that, but I am actually quite tired, so I'm not in a position to really sort of relish what's happened. Not a lot of activity there, but here we have well and truly got that. I can never remember what those things are called. I know the scenario where this one got one. They're called, there's a name for them, I can never remember it. You know, there's games where it's called that because it's dangerous, because you can get that unit there, for example, could possibly cut that off, and then they could use everything to surround it. Or they could pull out like that and close it down like that. I've always wanted to do this. Something like this. Oh, look at that. Right, enough of that silliness. But you can see what I'm saying. So we've got this big, what's it called? I don't know. Something like Inchelon or Escalade or something like that. But I'm too tired to even think about it. But I think that's done quite well. It would be interesting to do another turn. Or at least I've only done half a turn. Right, I like these sorts of games, and I like the way that you can sort of say, well, it's like an opening chess move. You think, well, what could we have done something differently? You know, maybe not, because the only thing we've really done is that. We did push quite successfully over here. Here we made some ground, but I don't think we've really made any breakthroughs. We've just sort of pushed back some sort of fairly tough units. It wasn't as simple as I thought it would be, but I think that the key thing here, let's get the little thing out again. The key thing that made the difference in all instances was the mobile units there, the mobile units there, and the mobile units there that gave us the ability. Where we had ground units, foot units, they were only able to push there make a little move there, make a little sort of advance there, but they weren't really able to do much in their own right. This was the only front where we actually managed to push with any significance. So it really is a case of your resources are these mobile units, and what do you do with them? Now here I think the mobility is going to get clogged down in in the density of the defending forces, especially with these mechanized units. Here we've got so much that we can do, but the handies might be able to actually mess that up a bit. And similarly over here, it's going to get bogged down, but I think the thing to bear in mind is that some of these units are almost broken. So it'd be interesting to see how that pans out, but I'm not going to do that now. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll speak to you later. Cheerio.